The year was 1963. A 21-year-old Cambridge student noticed he was becoming increasingly clumsy. His speech began to slur. Concerned, he sought medical advice. The diagnosis was devastating: amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, or ALS. The doctors gave him 2 years to live. That student was Stephen Hawking. And he didn't live just 2 more years. He lived 55. But this isn't just a story about surviving against the odds, though it is certainly that. This is a story about the extraordinary power of the human mind to transcend physical limitations. This is about redefining what's possible when everything seems impossible. Stephen William Hawking was born on January 8, 1942, in Oxford, England, exactly 300 years after the death of Galileo. Perhaps the stars were already aligning for this future cosmologist. But his early life gave few clues to the scientific giant he would become. His school friends called him Einstein, but ironically, it wasn't because he was brilliant. His grades were mediocre at best. His handwriting was nearly illegible. Teachers complained he was messy and disorganized. But beneath this ordinary exterior lurked an extraordinary mind. A mind captivated by the fundamental questions of our existence. Where did the universe come from? How did it begin? Will it end? And if so, how? These were the questions that consumed young Stephen. Questions that would guide his scientific journey. Questions that would lead him to revolutionize our understanding of the cosmos. At Oxford University, Hawking was known more for his wit and membership in the rowing team than for academic brilliance. He later estimated that he studied just an hour a day. It was not possible to do more, he said, because the work was so boring. But everything changed when he went to Cambridge for his PhD. It was here, at the age of 21, that Hawking received the devastating diagnosis that would change his life forever. ALS, a progressive neurodegenerative disease that would gradually paralyze him, robbing him of his ability to walk, use his hands, swallow, and eventually even speak. The doctors gave him 2 years. Imagine that moment. 21 years old, your entire life ahead of you, and suddenly you're told it's all about to end. Many would have given up. Many would have sunk into despair. But Stephen Hawking chose a different path. My expectations were reduced to 0 when I was 21. He would later say, "Everything since then has been a bonus." It was during this dark period that he met Jane Wilde, a literature student who would become his first wife. Their relationship gave him something to live for. As his physical condition deteriorated, Hawking threw himself into his work with a renewed sense of urgency. There's something powerful here for all of us. When time becomes precious, we often discover what truly matters. Before his diagnosis, Hawking had been struggling to find a research topic for his PhD. Now, facing mortality, he became intensely focused on understanding black holes and the origin of the universe. His physical world was shrinking, but his intellectual universe was expanding exponentially. In 1974, Hawking made the groundbreaking discovery that would cement his place in scientific history. He proved that black holes, contrary to what was previously believed, emit radiation, now known as Hawking radiation. This revolutionary insight merged quantum mechanics with general relativity, 2 pillars of physics that had previously seemed incompatible. And here's what makes this achievement even more remarkable. By this time, Hawking could no longer write equations. He had to develop a new way of thinking, visualizing complex mathematical problems in his mind, manipulating them through pure thought. As his body continued to fail him, his mind soared higher. By the late 1970s, Hawking was confined to a wheelchair permanently. He could no longer feed himself or get out of bed independently. Yet during this period, he was appointed the prestigious Lucasian Professor of Mathematics at Cambridge University, the same position once held by Isaac Newton. By 1985, a severe bout of pneumonia necessitated a tracheotomy, which took away Hawking's ability to speak. For many, this would have meant the end of their academic career, their ability to communicate complex ideas. Not for Stephen Hawking. He learned to communicate using a computer system that could be controlled by small movements, eventually just by twitching a cheek muscle. The synthetic voice that emerged from this system would become one of the most recognizable in the world. Think about that for a moment. A theoretical physicist who couldn't speak or write, yet he continued not just to work, but to revolutionize our understanding. In 1988, Hawking published A Brief History of Time, a book explaining complex cosmological concepts to the general public. Written for non-specialists, it would go on to sell more than 10 million copies worldwide and be translated into 35 languages. A man who communicated at a rate of just a few words per minute wrote one of the most influential science books of all time. Hawking once said, "However difficult life may seem, there is always something you can do and succeed at. It matters that you don't just give up." This wasn't empty motivation. This was his lived reality. In 2007, at age 65, more than 4 decades after being given 2 years to live, Hawking experienced weightlessness on a zero-gravity flight. The man who had spent decades confined to a wheelchair was, for a few precious moments, free from the constraints of his body and the pull of the earth he had studied so diligently. The joy on his face in those moments tells us something profound about the human spirit. No matter our limitations, we yearn for freedom, for exploration, for new experiences. Despite doctors' predictions, Hawking lived to see his children grow up. He lived to meet his grandchildren. He lived to transform our understanding of the cosmos. When asked how he kept his spirits up in the face of such physical challenges, Hawking replied with characteristic wit, "My advice to other disabled people would be, concentrate on things your disability doesn't prevent you doing well, and don't regret the things it interferes with. Don't be disabled in spirit, as well as physically." Look at what this man accomplished. He revolutionized our understanding of black holes. He developed theories about the origin and nature of the universe. He wrote best-selling books that made complex physics accessible to millions. He appeared on Star Trek, The Simpsons, and The Big Bang Theory. He became a cultural icon and inspired countless people worldwide, all while gradually losing control of every voluntary muscle in his body. If that doesn't challenge your perception of what's possible, I don't know what will.